10.26 has just released, and with it we have the Plunderstorm event. But not only that, we have updates on the legendaries coming back into Season 4. No, you don't have to craft them again, but you will be able to upgrade them on top of the dungeon pool being confirmed. The raids having some neat little changes with new mounts, new portals, new titles, and gearing has been also receiving some upgrades to get you getting the gear a little bit quicker, easier, with less of a headache. Together with dinars and currency that you can buy gear with. Let's see what 10.26, well, Season 4 rather, has in store for us, starting with the legendaries, which is probably one of the main asked questions for people that have received and looted for fyr'alath, whatever you want to call it, the axe essentially from Farak. Now that, together with Nazuro for evoker, so if you still have it in your bank, you better still have it in your bank, will be upgradable in the new season. Now this is still data mined because the PTR is not yet up as of recording this video, and the data mine shows that we can upgrade these particular legendaries with an item called Scale of Awakening that increases the eye level of those two until 502. Now we know that the eye level cap so far that has been confirmed was 522, so I doubt this will be the end eye level of the legendaries. Likely this is maybe just one of the items that has been data mined, probably from a rating equivalent of normal faded raid, and this will probably go up to, I would imagine, something like 530. Legendaries do have to have higher eye level than the other items to feel special, because, you know, legendaries, right? So we at least know that whether or not it stops at 502 or higher, or an unknown eye level period, we know that the devs are actually intending the legendaries to still be usable and relevant in Season 4. Depending on what eye level that ends up being with, we'll probably just have to see until PTR hits up, but I'm pretty sure that people's feedback will influence the availability, validity of the legendaries coming back, because Season 4, although it comes with the legendaries, since we'll be able to still raid them and people can still get them in Season 4 as well, it comes back with other items that are particularly incredibly strong, like the Hunter Bow from Razageth, if you do remember, which was nerfed multiple times and still was the strongest bow that hunters could equip back in 10.0, which is obviously coming back because Razageth is coming back. And although I won't go into the details of it, just to kind of tie it in with all of the legendaries as well, tier sets from previous raids, the tier sets that have been voted on are also getting buffed, because a lot of them have been nerfed once the raid has finished. Stuff like the Season 1 Balanced Druid tier has also been buffed, and a lot of other ones as well. So if you have to refarm an old tier set that you know your class or spec has had it nerfed, most likely it has been buffed, or at least data mined to have been buffed until Season 4 releases, so you don't need to worry about that. Your tier set is going to kick ass, or at least that's what's intended for it to do. There's a lot more stuff coming into Season 4 that is very hard to cover in just this one video. One thing that you need to know is that dungeon trinkets have been reworked to be also pretty valid, because in Season 1, when we have had, and Season 2 rather, when we had the Dragonflight dungeons and looted those trinkets, some of them were very underwhelming, so a lot of them will undergo reworks. Just keep that in mind. We're not going to go into the individual ones because, as you might have guessed, the dungeon pool has been confirmed, and lo and behold, it is the 8 Dragonflight dungeons. Kind of 99%. Listen, it's never going to be 100% confirmed until I see Ian on screen or any other developer from the WoW team saying, yes, these will be the dungeons. But their data mine changes to all of the Dragonflight dungeons are happening on the data mine PTR server, which they wouldn't happen if they wouldn't be coming back. So, you know, it's like 99.999% confirmed as well. So that is the last season of Mythic Plus, and that's what we'll have. That's also why the trinkets are gonna be reworked. A lot of the bosses and dungeon mechanics are being nerfed, similar to the raid as well. A lot of Mythic bosses are kind of tuned down. And to tie it all in with the Season 4 faded season thing, it's likely, as much as the data mine has been going on, that we will have dinars back, or predetermined gear acquisition, or whatever you want to call it, which was probably kind of confirmed by Ian as well at the end of the Shadowlands Season 4 as well. And not to essentially quote Ian Hazekostis, they will bring back a dinar type system. I don't know if it's going to be called dinar, maybe it'll have a different name because they always like to rename things. But we will have a predeterministic way of acquiring gear by acquiring currency from the raids. They essentially like the concept. They thought it was really good for a fated season. They don't think that's a good system to have for the general seasons of WoW, and that's still something that I'm not sold on yet. It doesn't matter, but in Season 4 it is coming back, so you can expect vendors to be up somewhere in Valdrakken where you can buy raid trinkets in, where you could probably buy some of the weapons like the hunter bow once again, and probably also be where you will acquire the legendary upgrade currency item consumable type thing, because if I recall, that's how you did it in Shadowlands with the Sylvanas bow, which I never looted, so I don't have first-hand experience of it, but that's, I think, if I remember properly, that's how it was about 2 years ago, right? So that's essentially the gear upgrade. And one little tidbit to kind of round up the gear acquisition and increase, there's actually 2 tidbits because it never stops. There's so much stuff. First of all, in tune with the Plunderstorm event, if you do play the event, and you should, we already have a video on it, by the way, you will acquire Renown 5 eventually. And once you do get to Renown 5, a vendor will unlock in Valdrakken. You will get a push notification quest taking you to that vendor, and you can exchange the currency from the Plunderstorm event to acquire flight stones and crests and use them essentially to upgrade gear. And speaking of upgrading gear, with Season 4, as you might expect, crafting high levels will also go up. Since we don't have a new faction, there's no weekly acquisition of the Spark equivalent for Season 4 that we will have at the time. I think Spark of Awakening or something like that. But instead, we'll be able to use 2 sparks together with Flystones. Like the acquisition has been data mined in the server as well to help you craft the new crafted gear at a higher level in Season 4. Now, we don't know exactly how we will acquire these sparks, most likely having something to do with doing fated raids or doing the new Mythic Plus season, possibly even for PvP, for people who play PvP. But it's likely going to be activity based or activity tied, so that you don't have to farm Renown, because there's no new faction to farm Renown with. Now, aside of the dungeon pool being announced and the raids being turned into fated, we have a couple of other stuff that have been data mined. Of course, we have mounts for the new Keystone Master from the raid as well. We also know that we will have portals to the raid, which I don't remember if we had that in Shadowlands. So far, the data mine shows that you have to clear the mythic raid to get the portal, which I think it's kind of like irrelevant at that point. If you do end up clearing Mythic Fyr'alath, Razageth, and Sarkareth, how much more need would you have a portal then? Wouldn't you want the portal to be able to farm the raids to essentially clear them? And Mythic, not everybody's gonna do Mythic, so I do hope that even if this was intended for how the portals will act, that they move the portals to normal. I don't think they have to be Mythic. I think everybody can take advantage of it. Like, flying to the raid is outdated. Why do I have to fly to Thaldraszus for Vault of the Incarnates? Why do I have to go back into Zerla Cavern to go all the way to Aberrus and then to the Emerald Dream to go to Amir Drasil? Just give me the portal, man. If I clear the last boss in the raid, whether it's Razageth, Sarkareth, or Fyr'alath, just give me the portal. I think that's great. I think that's one of the good things that happens to Mythic Plus when you clear them on plus 20. You get a portal to get you to that place a lot faster. It definitely incentivizes people to actually clear the last boss quicker. There's no reason why only Mythic creators should have access to these portals and not everybody playing the game, because why would a normal person have to just fly to the raid if they cannot kill the mythic boss at the end? Why can they just not take the portal? So please, the devs, if you're watching this video or if the feedback is taken into consideration, please consider moving the portals to normal, unless the data mine was wrong and normal was always the intended way for the portals to be acquired, which would be great. And an interesting thing that happened, and I don't know if we're gonna have more of this, but Mistweavers have received a slight rework in their talents. So far in the 10.2.6 patch, Dance of Chi-Ji and Peer into the Peace have made it to the Mistweaver talent tree, where Dance of Chi-Ji now, I don't know if the numbers are exactly the same as Windwalker, but your spells and abilities have a chance to make your next Spinning Crane kick deal an additional 300% more damage, which is one way of Mistweaver, you know, healing everybody in AoE. It does bring a lot of damage to Mistweaver as well. I don't know if it's too much damage. I don't think Mistweavers are known for breaking the meta with their DPS output, so I think this could be fine. Peer into Peace is 5% of your overhealing done onto targets with Soothing Mist is spread to 3 nearby injured allies. Soothing Mist now follows the target of your Enveloping Mist or Vivify, and its channel time is increased by 4 seconds. This is a very neat interaction with Soothing Mist. Now, I don't know gameplay wise how this will work and if people will like it for Soothing Mist to just move on to targets that maybe you don't necessarily intend to keep healing, but it is a talent, it is an option that you can go into or not get into. So having updates to it is particularly great since people have been asking for reworks for monks. Does this mean we will have more little tiny tweaks and reworks for other classes? I'm thinking about DK maybe. I don't know, but the fact that it is coming in, well, you know, season 4, 10.2.6 essentially, is a great sign that, you know, the devs are still on top of the class design and the class reworks, and we can only assume that these will only be accelerated as the War Within gets closer and closer. But it is an amazing time. There's a lot of good stuff coming. There's even more than we can possibly cover, so actually get your butts into the game and play. And if not, just play Plunderstorm. And if you don't know what Plunderstorm is and why this is the best thing that happened to WoW in the last couple of years, you can check our video on it right here and get your butts to plundering.